Cynthia, a young girl in her early 30s, received a bag made of bead as a gift from her aunt without knowing how dreadful the gift would turn out to be. Her birthday was approaching and she wished for lots of good things. Cynthia's father, a wealthy Urobo man, decided to throw a lavish birthday party for his precious daughter. Invitation cards were sent out to both the privileged and non-privileged in the society to grace the occasion. It happened that Cynthia's mother's sister, known as Linda, was planning how to ruin Cynthia's family. She was envious that her sister, Ujunwa, happened to marry a wealthy Urobo man in the person of Chief Obatare. Even though Ujunwa took very care of Linda's children, as she was married to an average man in the society who was not wealthy enough to support her type of living. Linda wished she could be Chief Obatare's second wife if she removed Ujunwa, her sister, out of the way. Linda has hatched an evil plan to execute her evil intent, so one day she traveled down to Ogumagala's shrine to get a solution to her desires. She removed her sandal, clapped 4 times before entering into the dreaded shrine. Upon entering, a terrifying figure in the person of Ogumagala suddenly appeared. "Woman, what brings you here today?" Linda wasted no time in voicing her evil intention. "I am the ocean that contains dead bodies, no fishes. Your request shall be granted. Take this bag and hand it over to her on her birthday. This will mark the beginning of their downfall," Ogumagala said as he handed the beaded bag to Linda, who was full of smiles. On the D-Day of the birthday, the venue was filled with people from all walks of life. The occasion was that of an extravagant one. As it was time for gifts to be presented to the celebrant, Mr. Obatare gave his daughter a new car. Ujunwa, her mother, gave her a new phone. Many other guests presented luxurious gifts to her. Linda then went ahead and presented her beaded bag to Cynthia, who joyfully accepted it, unaware of the disaster that awaits her. As soon as the party came to an end, Cynthia eagerly carried her gifts to her room. Then she began to unwrap them. Then, when she saw Auntie Linda's beaded bag, she fell in love with its uniqueness. Then she took her new car for a ride. Cynthia slid into her stylish gown and made sure to inform her parents of her planned outing. They bid her farewell and told her to be careful on the road while driving. As soon as she hopped into her car, little did she know that this joyous journey would lead to her tragic end. Cruising along the road, Cynthia decided to take out her phone from the beaded bag she got from Auntie Linda to take a selfie picture. As she dipped her hand inside, a sudden sharp pain startled her. It seemed as though the bag zip had bitten her. Confused, she raised the bag to find out. To her horror, a poisonous and horrifying snake emerged from within the bag, hanging its fan into Cynthia's beautiful face. Suddenly, Cynthia screamed aloud. Losing control of her car, she collided into a tree, tragically losing her life in the process. The snake, far from finished, continued its assault by mercilessly devouring her flesh, leaving nothing but her bones behind. After it had finished its evil work, it crawled back into the beaded bag and disappeared back into Cynthia's room, where it positioned itself among her other gifts. News of the fatal accident got to her parents, who were devastated, especially her father, Mr. Obatare, who blamed himself, realizing that the car involved in the accident was the very one he gifted his beloved daughter. Linda, upon hearing the news, was extremely happy. She pretended to be sad and rushed to the painful scene, where she cried more than the bereaved. "Is this how I am going to lose my niece on her very birthday?" she screamed with tears in her eyes. When Chief Obatara and Ujunwa got to the scene, Cynthia's body had been taken to the morgue. They saw men who gathered at the scene. Then they made way to see their daughter, but they were told they could not because she has been taken to the morgue. They say men don't cry. If only tears could bring Cynthia back to life, Mr. Battery's endless tears would have resurrected her. Ujunwa fainted at the revelation of not seeing her daughter's dead body, so she was rushed to the hospital. Linda then decided to use that opportunity to end her sister's life, so she headed home, promising to meet them in the hospital. As they say, a goat cannot give birth to a tiger. Linda's first son, Lotana, who was good for nothing but a notorious gambler, decided to use that opportunity to skim his way through to Cynthia's room so that he could steal those expensive gifts she received on her birthday. When he got to Cynthia's residence, he saw lots of people who came to offer their condolences to the deceased parents. Though they were not around, the visitors patiently waited for them to return. Lotana walked past them and made his way to Cynthia's room, carrying a nylon bag in his hands. He began his search for treasures. As he searched through the room, he noticed the gifts placed at the edge and walked towards them. I know these gifts are valuable. Unknown to him that the dreaded snake made its way back in the beaded bag, had started making preparation to devour him. The snake patiently waited for its unsuspecting victim to fall into his trap. As Lutana opened the bag expecting to find some jewelry, but instead he met with something far worse than any treasure. The snake jumped at him and mercilessly bit him, causing his death. As he screamed, the people in the living room rushed out, only to find his lifeless body on the floor. They too were frightened. They all ran away for safety. Linda, who was at home trying to use her charms to kill her sister Ujunwa, was quickly informed of the death of his son by a man. Realizing that her own plans had backfired, cried deeply, and she vowed to show no mercy. She blamed her sister Ujunwa for the death of her son. Consumed with anger, Linda brought out a small calabash pot and made some incantation that seemed to have no end. She proceeded to use her evil mirror to monitor Ujunwa's health condition, and she was happy when she saw that her condition was deteriorating. Back at the hospital, the doctor is seen telling Mr. Battery that he has never seen any condition like that of his wife, sudden illness. Maybe they will try other options. Linda in her home kept searching for the charm that would put an end instantly to her sister's life, but could not find it. She blamed her useless son, Lutana, who might have thrown it away. So she decided to go retrieve the beaded bag from Mr. Battery's house. On getting there, she saw her son's lifeless body. Gently went ahead and put the bag in a nylon, ensuring no unexpected moves from the deadly snake. Departing from the house, she headed for the hospital. Upon arrival, she was shown to her sister's room. When she entered, she did not see Mr. Battery, so she quickly removed the bag from the nylon and placed it under the bed, leaving Ujunwa's fate in the hands of the deadly snake. Immediately, the snake crawled out. As she was about departing, she heard a familiar voice of that of Mr. Battery and a pastor coming into the world. She immediately hid in the toilet, but soon the snake, which was out of the bag, was ready to strike his victim, Ujunwa. Immediately, the pastor ran and held the snake. He started praying, and Mr. Battery joined in praying. The room, filled with powerful spiritual pleading, caused the snake to run into the toilet, and suddenly a scream was heard. Then Ujunwa woke up from the sick bed. They all rushed towards the toilet, only to see Linda struggling for her life after being bitten by the snake that now seemed to vanish into thin air. She crawled out begging for forgiveness as she made her confession that the beaded bag she gifted Cynthia led to her death, and she intended to kill her sister Ujunwa and take over her home out of greed and jealousy. Ujunwa shouted, I did everything to support you and your family, and this is how you repay me with this unspeakable evil? Within moments, Linda's life was snatched by death, and the evil beaded bag vanished into thin air. Mr. Obatari and Ujunwa, deeply wounded by the revelation of Linda's hateful act, after leaving the hospital, were left to struggle with the painful reality that Linda, whom they had once considered a family, had been responsible for their daughter's untimely death. We've come to the end of this story. I hope you did enjoy it. Please, if this is your first time of joining us, you're highly welcome. Please click on the subscribe button